Culture gaps. Culture gaps. Culture gaps. Culture gaps. Culture gaps.
Welcome to Culture Gaps, the podcast where we talk about movies that one or both of us has not seen. My name is Greg,
And I'm your boy, Mike.
and today we are talking about a movie that came out somewhat recently, made some big waves in certain circles. It's a movie by the Daniels that's called Everything Everywhere All at Once.
That's a lot of stuff. That encompasses
Yeah,
pretty much everything.
pretty much all of it. Yeah,
Everywhere.
Yep.
And it's a lot to handle all at once.
for sure.
So you've seen this movie.
I have. I saw this movie a few weeks ago.
Oh, that's pretty fresh. I'm going to make you watch it again.
Yeah, I'm not mad about that. I am thrilled to be watching this movie again. I'm honestly happy to have an excuse to sit down and watch it again.
Okay. So I'm going to love it then.
I think you will. I'm pretty positive you will. I mean, I guess there is potential for a universe in which you bounce off this movie and you think it's just a little childish and trying too hard. But I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think you're going to love it because it's going to surprise you. It's going to go places you're not expecting for sure.
Okay. Well, now I'm expecting it to go places.
Yeah, I went into it expecting it to be wild and to completely take me by surprise, and it still took me by surprise, even though I was expecting it. So I really don't feel like I'm spoiling anything by saying that.
Yeah, I think that's what you have to expect after watching Swiss Army Man.
Yeah. This is a much, much more ambitious movie, though.
Crazy.
Swiss Army
Bigger
Man.
budget?
A lot bigger budget. Swiss Army Man had a budget of $3 million, and this movie had a budget of $25 million.
I'm not very good at math, but if I were to guess, it sounds like it's more
That's a lot more.
this time around. Okay.
Yep. But the good news is this movie also did amazing at the box office and became A24's biggest hit.
Wait, what? Did it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I should say, amazing by like 2022 independent film release standards.
Oh,
It
okay.
did amazing.
I'm like, it's not like Jurassic World Top Gun
No.
numbers.
No,
So what are you talking about?
No, nowhere near there. But it's an independent movie that
Right.
doesn't. I mean, when you see it, you'll see what I mean. It's not a mainstream movie at all. But it did exceptionally well for what it is. And, when it came out, like movies just aren't performing like they used to right now because of the pandemic.
No. Do you think maybe some of that success is because of Swiss Army Man, or maybe even success of Crazy Rich Asians?
No. I mean, no, I don't think so. Maybe Crazy Rich Asians. Definitely not Swiss Army Man.
Right. I mean, Swiss Army Man wasn't nominated for anything at the Oscars, right?
No.
But Crazy Rich Asians was.
Yep.
Yeah.
But this movie, I mean, the only real connection is just Michelle Yeoh.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, certainly this movie is like a Michelle Yeoh movie.
Right.
Although, do you know who else is in this movie? Do you know anyone else who's in it?
A dude who plays her husband, who is Short Round
Yup.
from Temple of Doom, Indiana Jones. I know this because, Greg, I'm a Indiana Jones expert.
You're an Indiana Jones expert.
Yep. Now, you ask me anything about Indiana Jones, I know it. Every piece of trivia. I'm waving my hands around like I'm Donald Trump. Any piece of trivia.
Every piece of trivia. I know every piece.
In fact, it was Father's Day recently, right?
Yeah. Did you and your dad find out you had sex with the same woman?
Man, this story got a lot less interesting.
Oh.
Amelia got me a card that had Indiana Jones on it.
Oh, that's cute.
Oh, it's pretty cute. And I thought it was a cowboy with the lasso at first. Everyone else who's looked at it said, "Yeah, that's Indiana Jones" immediately. So I don't know how much of an expert I am.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I expect cowboys. So
Right, that's true.
Right.
Yeah, you love westerns, which Indiana Jones is one. Kiwi Kwan, that's the actor's name who played Short Round. He's in this movie as well. He's great.
as an adult,
Yes, he is very much an adult.
that'd be something if he was still a kid, huh?
Yeah. 40 years later, he's still a child.
Man,
Yeah, so what do you think happens in this movie, Mike?
oh, everything.
Yeah.
Probably everywhere.
Yep.
Maybe simultaneously.
Right, yeah.
So I saw the trailer, and I remember seeing that she was kind of being whisked away into different either time periods or locations. It looks like she's doing a lot of drugs.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
a drug movie.
It's probably a drug movie.
It's basically Requiem for a Dream.
Right. So it looked trippy.
Yep.
She'd be like fighting someone, and then all of a sudden she's on a mountain or something,
Right.
smoking crack. That doesn't make you hallucinate, does it?
No.
What does?
Acid, a lot of mushrooms, DMT, Datura.
Why do you know
Salvia.
this answer? Why do you know so many? I couldn't even name some of these.
I
You go hard.
I like drugs, and I used to be even more into them when I was younger.
Wow.
I wouldn't do any hallucinogens now.
What one would you recommend to me?
Mushrooms, but I would have you eat like one mushroom, so you would barely trip. You would barely see anything.
You made me
would
some
just laugh a
ramen,
lot.
and then I had some mushrooms.
Yeah, those were just culinary mushrooms.
Oh.
not hallucinogenic ones.
Ah.
Maybe
Yeah.
but someday. I mean, I actually think it would be a lot of fun to eat mushrooms with you.
I'm not going to eat mushrooms.
You don't have to. I'm just saying it'd be fun.
Yeah, probably.
I'm saying I wouldn't have you eat enough to hallucinate. Outside of everything will look a little wavy. Mostly, you would just be laughing a lot.
That's fair. The same thing happens when I have done the reefer.
Yeah, when you do a weed.
When I did a weed once,
Yeah.
had one of those cookies, lots of laughing, or terrible
A panic attack. Yeah.
So
Go either way.
mixed bag of fun.
Yeah, either way. I mean, it's a blast, right?
Yeah, it's a
Panic
blast.
attacks are so much fun.
It's a blast for my heart. That's for sure.
All right. Well, why didn't you watch this movie, Mike?
Because it came out very recently. I haven't
Yep.
been to the theaters, and I haven't paid to watch it.
Yeah,
So
those are good reasons.
literally no reason to.
I guess let's go watch this movie.
Okay.
I'm excited to hear what you have to say about it because, as I mentioned in the last episode, I think this is a really special, once in a generation kind of movie.
It's possible I have absolutely nothing to say about it, and we have to bring Ray on to
No.
take over the conversation.
No, it's not going to happen. You're going to have a ton to say about this movie. There's too much happening in this movie for you not to have something to say. For
Okay.
sure.
So more so than Friday the 13th.
Yeah, it is a much, much, much more interesting movie than Friday the 13th.
Okay, I'm real excited. I'm going to watch it every day this week.
Ooh, I like it.
Get my money's worth.
I'm gonna just have it playing on my phone at all times so that I can bring it with me and be watching it everywhere.
All at once.
All at
Holy
once.
shit. I'm going to have it on all of my devices,
Oh shit!
right?
Yep.
And I'm going to have it playing from each second of the movie on all these different devices at different
Yeah.
times on
Yep.
loop, right?
Just a 1 second loop of each second of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All playing at once.
yeah. on every device you have, and
Yep.
you'll bring it with you everywhere you go.
Well, I don't go anywhere, so yeah. So everything right here, all at once.
I like it.
Let's watch it and play.
Culture gaps.
Please be kind, especially when we don't know what's going on. We just watched Everywhere,
Nope.
Everything,
Yup.
Everyone,
Nope. You know what? We watched it all.
Every Which Way.
Every Which Way But
all up
Loose.
in the
That's
air.
what we watched Every Which Way But Loose, which is you know what that is, Greg?
No, I don't.
It's a Clint Eastwood movie with
God.
him and
Yeah.
in an orangutan.
Of course it is. That man has had a wild career.
Oh yeah. You know what else is wild? This movie we actually watched.
Yeah.
Called Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Crazy movie. And before we get into it, I do want to warn all you listeners, we are about to spoil every single part of this movie.
Oh, spoiler splurt. Every part of it's about to be ruined for you.
So if you haven't watched this movie yet, it is available to rent as of listening to this episode. So please go rent it, buy it if you want to. It's definitely worth it.
Support your local Daniels.
support your local Daniel, your friendly neighborhood Daniels.
In fact, I'm going to tell you why you should right now. So I thought it was going to be a good movie.
Yeah.
I thought it wasn't going to be as good as Swiss Army Man because that was great. But I thought it was going to be up there. However, it surpassed that thought completely.
Wow.
And not only is it way better than Swiss Army Man, which was rated a 9 out of 10 anyway, it is actually in my top 10 favorite movies of all time now.
Whoa, that's huge.
Absolutely.
Wow, you loved this movie then.
Loved it
Yeah.
from beginning to end.
Same, actually.
In fact, I want to credit this movie with sparking something inside of me that kind of made me love film again. Like the art of film.
Wow. Yeah.
Like, I joked about it last time at the beginning of the last episode with Friday the 13th about how there's going to be a movie that comes along every once in a while
Yeah.
that is spectacular, blows your mind. And this is it.
I totally agree. I think I even said something along those lines in the intro of this episode that this is like a once in a decade kind of movie.
Oh, absolutely. It's career defining for everyone in this movie. Well, everyone in this movie except for Gong Gong. But we'll get there.
Oh, James Hong? You didn't like James Hong?
No, just he's already defined his career.
Oh,
enough, is
yeah,
what I'm
exactly. I mean, the man's a legend. Yeah.
saying. Yeah. So this blew everything out of the water for me.
Yeah.
I talked about. I thought Swiss Army Man was great, but I found it a little unrelatable for me personally.
Right, because you don't feel shame.
Right. I no longer feel shame.
So it was hard for you to relate to Swiss Army Man because it's all about how shame keeps us from connecting with other human beings.
Yeah. And in this movie,
Yep.
I connected on every level.
Right, because it's about Chinese American immigrants, and that's super relatable to you.
Yeah. Super relatable to me. That's not what this movie's about, Greg.
No, it's about nihilism and intergenerational acceptance.
Yeah, and I mean, there's feeling like everything is meaningless. Also, kind of combating that with kindness, and every character in this movie has a different theme that I also feel like is relatable. So,
Yeah.
from Evelyn's not feeling like she lived up to her own potential and being afraid of not being the best version of herself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or Joy's feeling of disconnection from the world,
And that
feeling
nothing
like
matters.
nothing matters
Yeah.
because she's measuring her suffering on the same level as everything else in the world all at once. Or Wayman's just ability to kind of enjoy the lightheartedness of life to make up for all of it. I feel like
Right.
that everything in this movie hit home. For
Yeah.
me. Especially like now being a parent, the whole dynamic of this family is just, I don't know. Everything about this movie is just spot on.
Yeah. It's a beautiful film. I mean, and Wayman's, the sort of like movie star universe version of Wayman, who says that he would have loved to just run a laundromat and do taxes with Evelyn. Like,
Oh my God. That's the tearjerker moment.
how
in
does
this
that
movie.
not crush you into bits? Like, it's so
I know.
gorgeous.
Well, that's the thing, right? Evelyn feels like she disappointed her father in the main universe. I guess the main universe being there's two main universes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we should lay this out. There's several universes.
There are a lot of main universes.
The main universes are the IRS universe, where all the crazy shit starts happening, and then the part where she wouldn't have listened to Alpha Waymond from the Alpha universe, which becomes the party universe. So we have the IRS universe and the party universe. So those are kind of the two main. I think the party one is the real one.
Wait, the party universe?
The real one. The party one's the one where she doesn't listen to Alpha Waymond and actually goes through with having that party in a laundromat. It's the one where she starts.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Whereas the one that you think is the real universe throughout the movie, I mean, they're all real, but the one you're following originally becomes the IRS universe where, people start having insane fight scenes inside the IRS building.
Yeah. And then the other universe is where they're having the party at the laundromat, and that's where a lot of the emotional growth happens.
Yeah, it's the more grounded one. Although one could argue that the movie star universe that you mentioned is our universe, but
yep, that's why I said in the intro of this episode there is a connection to Crazy Rich Asians.
Crazy Rich Asians is in the background on her red carpet.
In this
I think
movie.
That's actually footage of Michelle Yeoh
at the actual premiere. Yeah. Our universe is part of this movie.
Watching Everything Everywhere All at Once premiere. So there's a lot of layers here. Oh boy, I forget why we needed to talk about these universes first. Let's not forget the hot dog finger universe, though.
How could anyone forget? I mean, the way those fingers just like ejaculate ketchup and mustard.
And flop around and they eat them off of each other's hands.
Yep.
Oh, God.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, so that part that you mentioned in the movie universe is one of the most heartwarming parts of this movie. Because she feels like she hasn't lived up to her potential in the IRS universe.
Yeah.
That's the whole point, right? Like, they're going after her because she hasn't fulfilled all of the possible things she could be doing.
Right.
So she can make all these connections to the other universes and verse jump between them. So she starts to resent Waymond for it and all his positivity and just thinks he's kind of like a squirrel or some ridiculous man.
Squirrel.
And starts resenting him for all the things that she did in that universe. But you find out in the movie star universe that Waymond actually would have become a successful businessman.
Right. Yeah. He did fine on his own.
Yeah. Without her, he would have excelled as well.
Right.
But he mentions in that universe that he would rather be in a laundromat doing taxes.
Yeah, with her.
That's great.
Yep. It's beautiful.
Yeah, their whole dynamic is great. And there's a lot of things I didn't notice until after going back and looking into it further. Like Waymond's unrelenting kindness throughout the movie. You kind of look over it when you first watch it, but there's a moment where there's like people always arguing with Evelyn, and then she ends up walking away because she's too busy and she's dealing with 100 things.
Yep.
And she kind of deals with things bluntly, but he comes in and is just kind to the person and then gets stuff, like gets an extension on their taxes or de-escalates that situation in the laundromat by dancing with the guy.
Right. Yeah.
There's just so much he's doing.
Waymond is such a sweetheart. And I mean, I guess we can get into it with the casting of this movie. Every member of the cast, in my opinion, is incredible. But let's start with Ki Kwan in that role. Oh my God. I can't imagine anybody else being able to pull off such a sweet, empathetic role like that. Like, and also with all these like different versions of Waymond that we see, like the fact that he's able to go between this like action movie star version of Waymond to this incredibly like sweet, kind version of Waymond that you could truly believe would pull someone back from the brink of like complete nihilism and self-hatred, like Evelyn is feeling.
After coming back from retirement.
Right, yeah. And Waymond, Ki Kwan, this was his first movie in like 22 years or something like that in front of the camera. He's been doing behind the scenes stuff for a while, but he hasn't had like an acting role in over 20 years. And then he just comes into this movie with like an Oscar-worthy performance, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Every performance in this was.
Yeah.
That's what's insane.
Yep. I mean, Michelle Yeoh was also amazing in the role, which I think we all know Michelle Yeoh is amazing, and I don't want to just gloss over that. I'm sure we'll talk about her more, but I do want to also highlight the other huge part of this movie in my mind, which is Stephanie Hsu, who plays Joy / Jobu Tupaki. And
Jobu Tupac.
Yeah. And she is so fucking good in this.
Oh, for real.
I had never seen her before this movie, but this was just like incredible. The way she just turns on a dime between things and feels like menacing but also sometimes just vulnerable, and it all
apathetic,
feels and it all feels like the same performance too. It's not like it doesn't feel disconnected. She's able to do these very, very disparate versions of Joy / Jobu, and they all feel connected. It's really incredible.
I read that she actually drew a map of both characters' story arcs to follow along with during it. So that was interesting.
Nice. Yeah, that's cool.
You know, when I heard who was supposed to play Joy, I was disappointed for a half a second before I realized that she was so good.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to take anything away from her because she did so amazing.
Yeah.
But the idea of having Awkwafina in that role.
Yeah. Awkwafina obviously would have been amazing in that role too. But
yeah,
I'm actually really glad it was Stephanie Hsu, because I think she really deserves that spotlight. Like, we all know Awkwafina at this point. I think she's been in a Marvel movie, but like Stephanie Hsu, I think really deserves to like step in front of that spotlight, because holy shit, her performance in this movie was like mind-blowingly good. There's a point towards the end when she's just Joy, and then she turns into Jobu. And the only way the movie communicates it is that she just tilts her head to the side. And that's all you need, is like, she has just done such a good job of setting up this visual vocabulary of the characters, that Jobu has this like tilted head, half smirk kind of thing, that as soon as she drops her head to the side, you just know she turned into Jobu. It's like a really impressive acting trick. I just think she's so good at those subtle little things. I just was blown away by her.
Yeah, how about that relationship between her and her mom?
Yeah. That's like the crux of the whole movie.
It is. This is one of those situations where I let you talk about that kind of relationship between being the gay child with a repressed family.
Right. Yeah. Well, so I did have something written down about that.
Okay, good.
What I wrote down was, I think this is a really interesting metaphor for the conservative parent's journey that they often have. Like, you know, I can't speak to what like immigrant families are like in the US for obvious reasons, but, you know, in terms of like the queerness thing that you just mentioned, you know, I definitely recognized that Evelyn's fear of the multiverse is almost a metaphor for her fear of the world of her daughter that she doesn't understand, right? Like, Jobu is trying to show her so desperately, like, please understand my perspective, please see where I'm coming from. And for Evelyn, that feels like life and death. It feels like, well, our whole universe could collapse if I look into this unexplainable, strange world that seems dangerous and scary to me. Like, it seems like this could destroy everything that I know and love, so I don't even want to look at it.
I was going to say, during that whole moment where Jobu Tupaki comes and talks to Evelyn, Evelyn blames Jobu Tupaki for her being gay and kind of treats it like an affliction in that scene.
Yeah. Yeah. And she's like, oh, you made my daughter gay. And then, Joy, I think it's Joy from a different universe, like takes a moment and it's just like, really? In this universe? You're still hung up on this? It makes sense coming from an older generation, but I think this movie does a really good job of making maybe the most ridiculous possible metaphor for it. But, it shows you what this older generation feels when they're confronted with these things that truly feel like, well, this isn't even the world I grew up in. I don't understand anything that you're talking about or saying to me. And you want me to respect all these things about you that just feel like dangerous and scary to me because they're so unfamiliar. And I think the beauty of this movie is that it's a journey for Evelyn to open her mind to those things. And it never goes back to normal. Like, she has opened her mind to the multiverse permanently at the end of this movie. Like, she can't turn it off. Her mind is permanently opened. But I think in a way that's a good thing because it's allowed her to connect to her daughter. It's allowed her to connect to her husband, who is seeking a divorce at the beginning of the movie. She even, has a better relationship with her father by the end of the movie. I think it's just like the movie is a really interesting exploration of open-mindedness in an interesting way, like in a very literal way too.
Very literal way. Yeah, that's probably the heart of it, open-mindedness, but also in another vein, dealing with the idea of nothing mattering because there are so many different possibilities, so many different things out there all happening at once.
Yeah.
And in finding meaning in what your life actually is. And I think that comes, I don't know, that becomes a big element for Joy when she makes the everything bagel.
Yep.
Which we should definitely talk about.
Yeah. I as a notorious bagel fan,
yeah,
I am obsessed with bagels, so I was thrilled that this movie hinges on a bagel.
Yeah. So the everything bagel is Joy's representation of throwing everything that doesn't matter anymore at it. This is a black hole that will consume her just by saying, well, this doesn't matter until she doesn't matter anymore. It will consume
matters.
her.
Yeah.
Right, till nothing matters. Because she wanted to see if it would destroy her.
Right.
But also wants her mother to look into it and, make that connection and see something else.
Exactly.
But talk about nihilism in movies. I feel like we just like these type of things after Interview with a Vampire and now this.
Well, I mean, I guess this goes back to something I was saying in the interview episode, though, where I think where you were saying a lot of the movies I love are nihilistic and deal with hopelessness and stuff. And my argument was that they do, but they give you that glimpse of hope and, human connection and what makes it all worthwhile. And I feel like this movie is a great example of that.
I think if you want to remember that episode correctly, that was my point. It wasn't just all bleak, and that there was and because that's the point of these things that I do like is when there is this hope. And this movie has that through Waymond and, Evelyn learning Waymond's fighting style, which is literally through kindness.
Right.
And then making the connection at the end, having that Spielberg ending to this kind of thing. I feel like it really shows you what can matter, even though everything seems so bleak in both those movies. And that's what I do love about these movies is that it kind of gives you that connection that you don't see all the time because you're numb to it, I guess. I mean, that's how I always feel. You just and they make a point of this. At one point, Evelyn and Jobu Tupaki just go numb. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only way you could possibly deal with it all is to go numb.
Right.
Until you learn to start dealing with it like Wayman does. Put googly eyes on everything.
Yeah.
See, I'm a big googly eyes fan.
Oh yeah, so this movie was right up your alley then.
Oh yeah, right up my alley.
Yeah, the googly eyes are like a metaphor for empathy, which I love.
They are. I mean, oh, man, when I started reading about all the different visuals and connections in this movie, it was insane. That was the yin and yang, is the bagel and the googly eyes, because it's the inverse of the bagel.
Yeah. Well, and also circles in general are all over this movie. There's like circular mirrors and Jamie Lee Curtis doing these giant circles.
Stapling the note with a circle to her head.
Oh yeah, that's something. That's someone else we didn't talk about yet. Jamie Lee Curtis in this movie.
Oh my God! Talk about
my God, committed.
Fantastic.
Yeah, just the details on her character were so good, so well observed.
God. So different from what Jamie Lee Curtis does.
Yeah.
This gave her some room to shine.
She was like, you can tell she's just having the time of her fucking life in this movie.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Deirdre made this movie in some ways because she was like the perfect, I want to say the perfect villain, because I don't actually think Jobu Tupaki is a villain in it.
Right.
For most of it. She just kind of...
She's misunderstood.
She's misunderstood, and she's not actually out to kill the universe. She just wants to get to her mother.
Right.
But Deirdre becomes like that crazy villain for most of this movie.
Yeah.
And in every single way, she kills it.
Yeah, for sure.
Insane. She's terrifying at times.
Yeah, I know. She's like this, like when in the like pro wrestler version of herself, where she's like just like hunting through the cubicles for Evelyn. It's great.
It's probably worth noting. There were some pretty gross moments of this movie.
Oh, for sure.
Daniels loved doing that.
Yeah.
Namely the different types of jumps in this movie, because you had to do something weird to
something
jump. I didn't know if it was specific or what. Like, it seemed like you had to do a very specific thing to jump to a certain person. So it was weird how they knew where to go.
You have to do something improbable, and there's like essentially like different things that are different levels of improbable that you could do. And so it's kind of like a toss up. If you have someone in a chair telling you what to do, then it could be like, you know, where they tell Waymond, like, hey, the clearest way to do this would be to give yourself paper cuts.
Right, which is what I was going to say is the gross one that really, oh my God, talk about affecting you on a visceral level.
Yeah.
Oh, just watching him try to give himself paper cuts.
Yeah, it's like upsetting.
Between each finger.
Yeah, it keeps going and going.
But obviously we can't pass up the one where the two martial artists show up in the IRS building.
Yeah. And
have to launch themselves onto
some butt plugs. Yeah. Yeah, that's just like an iconic fight scene. Like immediately iconic, because it's so over the top. Like, and as soon as you see that butt plug award at the beginning of the movie, you know it's coming.
Someone's butt.
It's Chekhov's butt plug. That's what the Daniels called it in the director's commentary.
Oh my God!
It's like you see it and you're like, yeah. By the end of that movie, that's going up someone's ass.
Right. And it was those two brothers. They apparently have a YouTube channel where they do like fighting.
Yeah, they're incredible.
They were. Oh man,
the Lee brothers, I think.
I have mentioned several times that I love kung fu movies.
Yep.
So this really is up there for me.
Yeah.
But they came on, and the bald one comes in leaping over the cubicle, legs straight out in the air, like you arriving to any situation.
With bears.
Yeah, with bears.
Yeah. If there's a bear there, that's how I'm entering the room.
Yeah.
Legs spread, asshole open. Ready to receive.
Oh man. Just the idea, because a lot of kung fu is when there's an object involved in kung fu, it's one person keeping it away from the other person in very quick motions. And just the subtlety of having that be the butt plug when Evelyn is trying to keep it away from the first guy is absolutely insane.
Yeah, and they largely do it in one shot too, so you're like watching this guy like slam his ass down with so much conviction. Like it's really amazing. You're like, wow, if Michelle Yeoh didn't move that butt plug at the right time, that guy truly would have had a horrible day.
Or a great one.
Yeah. And I guess maybe that's a good segue to talk about Michelle Yeoh in this movie. Because
what?
No, the fact that she's so good at this fight choreography.
At everything.
Michelle Yeoh gives probably the performance of her lifetime in this movie. Like not to take anything away from what she's done in the past. She's an amazing actor. I have always liked her. But this movie is next level. Like, she is so good in it, doing so many different emotions and genres and making it all feel cohesive. But then also just the sheer amount of fight choreography that she had to learn in this movie and that she performs flawlessly. It's like, it's truly incredible and feels like a perfect showcase for everything that she has in the holster.
Absolutely. I actually watched an interview with her talking about accepting this role, and she teared up. And it was clear that someone of that age, and I just feel like she gets typecast a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
In this movie, it just gave her an outlet to do all the things that you'd want to do in a movie. And this like gave her the opportunity. And watching her like tear up at having that opportunity was just like so heartwarming.
Yeah. And I will say, I read that the Daniels did write this movie for her, but that was only after they originally wrote it for Jackie Chan.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Because Wayman has total Jackie Chan vibes in this movie.
Yeah, the fanny pack fight is like pure Jackie Chan. Yeah.
You know, I keep going back and thinking about flaws for this movie, and that fanny pack fight is the only thing I could find.
That's insane to me. That's my favorite fight scene in the whole movie.
Because they make a huge point about him dealing with everything with kindness, and in that fight, he's just a ruthless fighter.
Well,
so Alpha Wayman seems
that's Alpha Wayman,
very different.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they kind of made it seem like that was just his thing across the multiverse.
Yeah.
It was the only thing that was questionable to me. That's it.
Fair enough.
And kind of that Jenny Slate was meant to have more of a role and didn't.
Was she meant to have more of a role?
Yeah, I read that they had a whole story arc between her and Evelyn, kind of like Deirdre's, of her coming to terms with her in the end.
I mean, I will say this movie has absolutely no room for that. It's already like 2.5 hours long.
Okay, well, it was supposed to be about the same as, and I've been waiting to say this word, the Racacoonie.
Oh my god,
universe.
Racacoonie! I've been waiting the whole episode for you to bring up Racacoonie.
So. You know, raccoons are my spirit animal.
You love
raccoons. Literally in our Culture Gaps episode art is me as a raccoon eating popcorn.
Our logo has you as a raccoon and me as a bear.
Yeah, and you also know that Ratatouille is my favorite Pixar movie.
Oh, I didn't know that actually.
You didn't?
No. Wow.
And it's got Harry Shum Jr., who's from Glee.
Yeah, I figured you would be
coming
into
in.
That. Yeah. And
with a raccoon on his head.
You know who did the voice of Racacoonie?
Yeah. What's his face?
Randy Newman. The legend himself who did the Toy Story soundtrack.
Yeah.
We're a family, culinarily.
Oh, man.
It's so good. What? It's so funny, too, because you think it's a completely throwaway joke when Michelle Yeoh says it first. Like, at first, she's just, like, trying to explain what the multiverse is to her family who doesn't understand. and she's trying to tell them it's like someone's controlling them when someone first jumps into their body, and she just says Racacoonie, and you're like, oh, ha ha ha, she got the name wrong, and that's it. But then you just literally see it become reality later in the movie. Like, she goes to that universe where a chef is being controlled by a raccoon under his hat. It's completely insane and so brilliant. I love it so much.
So much of this is absurd. Yeah, it's amazing. So, yeah, the visuals were breathtaking in this movie. The parts where she was being torn through all the different multiverse scenes were incredible. And this is kind of what I said about that spark being shown for me. Like, this is bringing me back to the art of filmmaking.
Yeah.
Listening to how Daniel Kwan took a GoPro camera around wherever he went and just took footage of like every city he walked through around the world, everything he could possibly do.
For a year.
Just to use that.
For a year. He just took footage for a year just
That's
for
insane.
like a what, 3-second shot maybe?
Yeah. And then they did, what was it, 5 people? 5 people did all the special effects in this movie.
Yep.
During COVID in like a room. So they had
Just, like,
Michelle
at
Yeoh
home.
acting in front of a green screen with like old, I don't know, like big screen TVs on the side. And they just had her acting in front of something that she couldn't see.
That's actually one of the things I really admire about the Daniels is that they don't lean away from visual effects like CGI and like post-production stuff. Like, they certainly aren't purists about it or anything, but they try to get as much in camera as they possibly can through as many just like clever tricks as they possibly can. And I actually, on the director's commentary, they even mentioned Michel Gondry and Spike Jonze as influences, who are like, those are 2 of my favorite directors because of the exact stuff that they're talking about, where they do these clever practical tricks where actors will just like run out of frame and do a quick costume change and pop back up in frame for the next shot or whatever. Like that, I love that stuff, and I love that the Daniels lean into it so much.
It really pays off. And there was just moments of it where they included like animated universes and whatnot.
Yeah.
And the lighting that they applied to it, it's just, I don't know, just visually this movie was there on all levels. Or the costume design for Jobu Tupaki throughout the movie.
Costume, oh my God, I had a note written down for that. The costumes in this movie are absolutely insane. They're so good. Jobu has some incredibly memorable looks in this movie.
The Elvis with the pig?
Yeah, that's great. Iconic. Or there's like the look where it says like Jobu is written across her forehead with her hair.
Yeah.
And there's like a scene at one point where she's falling down the stairs, and each time she hits a stair, she changes costumes. It's just crazy how much detail goes into this movie for like half a second of footage. Like,
or in like the Hero Kung Fu universe, where it's much like the film Hero, like the stylized wuxia movie, when her weapons are changing constantly within her hand.
Yep.
And I was like, this would look terrible in any other movie, but they can do it. Like, these guys know what they're doing. And
they set up a visual language at the start that sort of allows them to just get away with anything by the end of the movie. Like, they establish it early. Yeah, and I think the other, brilliant thing we haven't really talked about yet with this movie is that it spends so long in just a normal, everyday world at first, that when it slowly builds up to this craziness, so that by the time the like 5th climax is happening, you're just totally on board. But it starts out with just like a quiet family drama of just like a Chinese American immigrant family just like struggling with communication. I wouldn't just gloss over it like that. I felt during that entire beginning, and I wrote this down, so stressful is what I felt. No, I feel like Evelyn is distracted by everything in the beginning of the movie. Right.
struggling to focus on anything and distracted by all this work and all the things that she has to pay attention to because no one else will.
Right.
To be a good mom or can run the business, be a good daughter. She's just, there's so much tension building at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
Of her not being able to handle it. Like, I feel like I'm getting a headache like she is in that movie.
Yeah, that's true. So the Daniels said that the opening sequence, that was actually based on the beginning of the movie Home Alone.
What?
Yeah, because the beginning of the movie Home Alone shows you every room in the house that you're going to see later in the movie. It introduces you to the characters. It shows you what's going to be important later. It shows you how, what the relationship is between Kevin and his family and how that's going to be important later. It's stressful and overwhelming because there's so many people in the house and it's just bouncing between all these different perspectives and there's so many things happening all at once. It's hard to keep track of what's going on, but it sort of teaches you as the audience to understand like what the sort of spatial understanding of the whole movie is going to be. Like, this is what you need to know. Here are the people you need to know and the locations you need to know.
The shocking part of this is finding out that Home Alone was so well established.
Home Alone is a great movie. I don't know.
It is.
How
I mean,
recently
everyone
you've
knows
seen it,
Kevin.
but
You can just say Kevin and we know who you're talking about. It's crazy.
Yep.
Wow. I didn't know they did such a good job of establishing that. You don't think of that stuff when you're watching that movie.
Yeah, but everything in the beginning of Home Alone, those are like everything you see becomes important later in the movie. So I guess going back to the on-screen eating thing.
Oh my God! I took away the rating system, and now you're going to talk about on-screen eating.
Oh, you didn't take that away. I'm going to bring that up as soon as it's relevant again.
Oh my God!
But no, this movie. So in addition to the great on-screen eating from Ki Kwan, where he devours that bagel in a very convincing way, there is another scene in which Gong Gong is eating pudding in the IRS break room.
Yep.
So James Hong, the actor who plays Gong Gong, he wanted to keep doing more takes, like over and over, but they didn't have enough pudding to keep resetting.
He just wanted pudding.
No, that's the thing. They didn't have enough pudding to keep resetting after each take to give him a fresh pudding cup each time. So what he did is he spit the pudding back into the cup at the end of each take, and then the next take he would just eat the regurgitated pudding out of the cup again.
That's disgusting.
I mean, that's the thing about on-screen eating. Anytime you see it, they're never actually eating anything. They're just putting food in their mouth temporarily and spitting it out later.
No. Like I said, Greg, I've filmed the movie with a ton of on-screen eating, and I had that was my entire budget, feeding someone.
Well, yeah. I think it's different if it's an amateur film.
Oh, they don't have enough money to feed people actual food in real movies?
No, they don't have enough money.
That's where they draw the line.
Yeah, it's a money thing for sure.
But you know what I got for you, Greg?
What do you got for me?
About this time every episode, we like to rate the movie.
That's true. I thought you were going somewhere else with that.
I did too, and then I remembered we have to rate the movie.
Yeah, we do have to rate this movie.
You go first, because you've seen it.
Me go first. Okay. I think this movie is a brilliant maximalist movie about everything, as it says in the title, that really deals with every genre. It's like it's a beautiful mother-daughter movie. It's a great immigrant drama. It's a thrilling kung fu movie. It's hilarious. It's got sci-fi. It's got romance. It's everything. It's just everything you could ever want from a movie. And I hate to say anything negative about the movie, but I just feel like at times it can be a little exhausting because it has like 20 climaxes in it. Like emotional climaxes where you're just so... anyway.
No, that's a good thing, Greg.
It is, and I like it, but I found it a little exhausting at times. So I guess I would say I would give this movie a 9 out of 10.
Oh, damn.
An absolutely incredible movie, but I don't think it's perfect.
Wow. Damn. So
Yeah.
I thought its editing, its cinematography, score, everything was impeccable. Along with the acting, everything was Oscar worthy, in my opinion, for this movie.
I agree.
It was funny, it was emotional, and it had great kung fu.
Yeah. Great.
It made me laugh out loud at times, and it actually made me cry.
Yeah.
Of that final kiss between Evelyn and her husband after so long, that feeling was very, I don't know, very emotional at that point in the movie.
Yeah. I love that.
I feel like this movie made me feel every emotion possible.
Right.
It's just, and of course, it had Racacoonie. Great.
I know. If I were to design a character specifically for you as a person that you would love more than anything else, it would be Racacoonie. It's so up your alley.
Oh my God. I love it so much. So I thought this movie was a masterpiece that really invigorated my love for film. Despite feeling kind of like Joy does about the world, about how nothing matters, therefore movies don't really matter anymore.
Yeah.
Even though we're doing this podcast, this one kind of brought me back to Wayman's perspective and made me enjoy something ridiculous, absurd, and just amazing on every level. I give this movie 10 out of 10.
Wow. And Mike gave it a 10. Did everybody hear that? It was a 10 from Michael.
So you'll have to figure out whether I liked it more or less than Warriors of Fortune. 'Cause
Yeah. I mean, I think we're finding a theme here that you love kung fu movies.
I do.
So far, every kung fu movie we've watched so far, you've given a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, it's a pattern, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. We've been recording a while.
Yeah.
Let's do some try-by trivia, but let's make it quick, Greg.
I love it.
Question number 1.
Yep.
Films usually have a fake name under which production uses to keep the details secret.
Yeah.
What was the working title for this movie?
I actually don't know this. We're going to say it is X-Lax.
Great choice.
Yeah.
It was. The answer is A Woman Tried to Do Her Taxes.
Oh, I thought that was just the tagline, not the title.
No, that was the fake name they used for it. Yeah. This you really got to pay attention to this one. At the beginning of the film, Jenny Slate's dog mom character has to present her ticket to pick up her laundry.
Yep.
What number is on her ticket?
42. The
Oh,
answer
you
to
did
life, the
pay
universe, and everything. Yeah.
Wow.
I knew that because the Daniels also pointed it out in the director's commentary. They were like, this is the most obvious lazy joke in the world. You all know exactly what it is, but we did it anyway.
Yeah.
I love that about them. They're just like, yeah, this is obvious, but we're just going to do it anyway because we like that book, you know?
Yeah. It's in my book too.
Yeah.
Because my book is also about finding meaning in life and doing what you love and finding joy.
Your children's book. Yeah.
Oh, right. But on the chalkboard, he's trying to calculate the meaning of life, and the answer he comes up with is 42.
Right.
Just paying homage.
Yeah.
All right. Question 3, Greg.
Love it.
In the movie star universe, during the alleyway scene, Wayman tells Evelyn, "Your clothes never wear as well the next day. Your hair never falls in quite the same way." The question is for you to sing the chorus.
This is the story of a girl who cried a river, drowned the whole world. And why she looks so sad in photographs. I absolutely love her when she smiles. Yeah, love that song.
Wow. You're going to have to cut that out.
Nope, that's staying in, baby.
God. I thought you were a singer.
Yeah, I nailed that.
All right, question number 4. Describe a scene in which directors Dan Kwan and Daniel Scheinert appear in this movie.
Dan Kwan is in a couple scenes. He is a mugger in one scene, and he also gets sucked into the everything bagel in a later scene. And then Daniel Scheinert also has a couple cameos. He is the arm of Deidre pulling Michelle Yeoh out of the car at one point. But he is also more memorably the subby bottom guy who likes to be abused by dominatrices. Is that the plural of dominatrix? I don't know.
Oh, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a great
Dominatrices. But yeah,
that's the word of the day.
I think that's a great cameo from Daniel Scheinert.
Oh, absolutely.
As the guy being just like spanked with a ball gag in his mouth. It's so good.
He looks the part too.
Oh, he does. Yeah, the mustache and the bald spot. It's a great.
I'm not sure.
Great
It's
combo.
probably spot on. It's probably real life.
Yeah, that's just who he is in real life.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Right.
Daniels, get in touch with us.
Oh no. Yeah, if you guys need someone to work on some stuff, reach out. Get a hold of us on this podcast.
I know we were just insulting you, but I would genuinely love to work with you guys.
Oh man. Question 5, Greg.
Yeah.
Last question of the day.
Can't wait.
Which actor in the film holds the most acting credits? That is the number of things they've acted in, not some weird currency for actors.
Okay, I have a pretty good guess on this.
That's obvious.
I would have guessed it anyway, but I also feel like you tipped your hand a little bit at the beginning of this the second half of this recording.
Oh, yeah.
It's James Hong.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's James Hong, and I made this one easy specifically so we could recognize him, because I don't think we very much did.
No, we didn't talk about him nearly
We passed
enough.
right by him.
Yeah.
But James Hong plays Evelyn's father, Gong Gong, in this movie, has close to 700 credits.
Wow.
700.
It's wild.
That's like
he's in his 90s.
He's 93, and he just recently got his Hollywood star.
Wow.
About time.
Yeah.
I don't know how 700 acting credits later you just get your Hollywood star.
Yeah. That's crazy. He had a birthday on this movie. It's kind of adorable. I saw footage of them celebrating his birthday on set.
Wow.
I mean, that's the thing with the Daniels is like everything I've seen and heard about their sets, it sounds like they are just incredible leaders. Like not just directors, but also like human beings who are running a team. Because movies, as much as we love to talk about movies as art, they're a business, right? The director on a movie is everyone's boss, basically. Like, obviously, there are producers as well who are, maybe a little higher ranking because they're in charge of money. But, at the end of the day, it's the directors who are in charge. And I think the Daniels, like, hearing them talk about their movies and their crews and their casts, like, they just seem to love everyone that they work with, and they talk about how they do like these warm-up exercises at the beginning of each day where they like each member of the crew would take a turn leading the exercises, like whether it was a meditation or stretching or just dancing or doing something goofy or whatever. Like they just would always start the day with every single person just getting together and standing in a circle and doing like a warm-up exercise together. And it sounds so sweet and lovely. I'm just like, I just want to work with these guys so bad. So Daniels, if you're listening, please hit me up. I will make you some music. I will buy you some coffee. I'll do anything you ever need on a movie.
Yeah, I'll tell them your phone number so that.
Yeah, read it out.
Call you.
Read out the phone number.
Read your phone number on the podcast. So this has been great. I'm happy we got to watch a good movie, Greg.
Same.
But there's always another movie we have to watch. I don't remember if the movie I picked for you is any good. It's been a while. The movie's Mallrats.
Mallrats.
Yes.
The Kevin Smith picture.
Oh yeah. And there was a point in time where I did a good marathon watching every single Kevin Smith movie for the first time.
Oh.
Where I hadn't watched them on my own, but a friend of mine made me watch every Kevin Smith movie. I made him watch every Clint Eastwood movie, so that was interesting.
Oh boy.
It's
That's not for this episode though. That's for the next one.
right for the next episode. So I want you to prepare for Mallrats. Grab your chocolate covered raisins and meet me there, Greg.
Okay. Sounds good.
And to the audience, if you're still listening to the podcast at this point, just know that every rejection, every disappointment has led you here.
To our podcast. Our shitty podcast. Thanks for listening.
Culture Gap.